What's up, 511 Media family? Happy to have you here.
Shout out from Tom here.
Okay. Mike and Tom show. And notice how Mike comes first on that, right?
It's alphabetical. I've been dealing with that all my life.
All right. We could use that as an excuse.
Hey, but I'm going to pull a Bible verse now. Those who are last shall be first.
Ooh. Yeah. Well, I think in this case, it's beauty before age, right?
Yes, it is.
Anyway, quick shout out to our sponsor, Covenant Coffee.
Yeah.
Randy Martin over there at Covenant Ministries, Covenant Coffee, doing a lot to help the aged out foster youth. There's a term for that, Tom. What is the term?
It's an aged out foster. It's when they get emancipated.
Yes, there you go. Emancipated foster youth.
Outside of the program, and Randy puts them to a task of learning a trade, learning how to do some retail, helping them get them back on their feet, giving them a place to live. I mean, there isn't anything Randy doesn't do. So, hey, if you're out there and you're online, you can buy Covenant Coffee because you're supporting a great cause.
That's right.
We have our friend Chip Moore from Turning Point. Chip's got some new news for us, Mike. I know you tried to break in early on us, but welcome, Chip. Glad to have you on the show.
Yeah, very good to be here, guys.
Yeah. So Chip, as you're out there today, you've spent, what'd you say, 14 Zoom calls, and you got to travel to DC, and you're working for Turning Point Faith. It's a long road to get there. And today, Mike, I don't think we're going to focus on the backstory, but just a really quick thing. You spent 26 years in law enforcement. Was that your first
Absolutely
profession?
Did.
Was that your first profession, Chip?
It was my very first profession. I was Metro Atlanta, one of the largest counties in Georgia. And I retired as a division commander a few years ago. But I did pretty much everything from patrolman to homicide detective to undercover narcotics. You name it, I did it.
Wow.
Right on. And now you're down in Florida, right?
Yeah, moved down here to Florida because God one day said that it's time to go to Florida, and we completely moved on blind faith, literally on blind faith, and moved down here. And a few days after getting here, I went to work for TPUSA Faith.
And where out in Florida?
So I live just south of Orlando in a town called Winter Haven.
Okay. I've been out there many times to Orlando. Not that long ago. Well, I was in Fort Lauderdale, I guess. But it's all fairly close. Everybody thinks I think a lot of people think that Florida is the size of California. It's not even close, but on a map it looks similar, but it ain't.
Yeah, you can get from one side to the other in just a few hours.
Yeah. I've done that. I've driven from St. Petersburg all the way down to the Everglades. So that's a little bit of a drive. It was probably 4 or 5 hours, something like that.
That's completely worth it.
Oh, yeah, it was.
I've never heard of the Keys, and I had my daughter, Taylor, and my friend, Doug DeBerti, in the Keys a day apart. And I was like, the Keys have never been important in my life. And all of a sudden, I looked it up, and I was really impressed with.
A friend of mine's moving down there to the Keys and said he was going to give me some scuba diving lessons.
Oh, wow. Well, I think there's sharks down there.
It's a great place to go.
Yeah, I love it. So Chip, you hit a term because, you're working for a company called Turning Point Faith, which brings in the Christian faith. And explain to our audience what you said, because I always love it, because I believe there's risk and reward. And I think something you said provided for that. You said you moved on blind faith. What did that mean for you, your wife, and your family?
So we had talked about it in the past, but we just decided that it was time to get moving. So we listed the house. We sold it in 2 weeks. We were driving on the way down to Florida. Halfway down, my wife called me and said, "Hey, we forgot something." I was like, "Well, we have both kids. We've got the dogs. I'm pretty sure we didn't leave them there." And my wife said, "Well, where are we going to go?" Because we forgot to find a place to live, because it was one of those where God said, and we moved. So literally. We lived out of a hotel, a little house behind a hotel for about 8-9 weeks. And then we finally found a rental property to move into.
Wow. So when you did this, it's almost like that Abraham moment, go that way,
And that's pretty much what we did. Just completely and totally. We went that way. And I absolutely would never go back and ever do anything differently. It was exactly what God wanted.
And that's a lifestyle now for you, correct?
Oh, 100%.
had that always been a lifestyle for you, Chip? I mean, for me, I came to the Lord at 34. I think Mike knew the Lord,
Fairly young age, yeah.
Yeah. So what was it like for you, that journey?
So, and I like to tell people that I was a triple dunker, if you know what I mean. I had a couple of professions of faith that really didn't mean very much. And then in my adult years, I finally came to realize that I needed faith. I needed Jesus, and I finally found him for real. And once I found him, that was when I'm like, God, whatever it is that you want, that's what I got to do. It's not really up to me. Pretty much every step's got to be led by him, 100%.
What led to that, Chip, if I can ask that? Because, our show really has a faith balance because it's 511 Media Group, First Thessalonians 5:11. We like what you're doing and what you continue to do. What was the journey that led to that? I know you had the profession in law enforcement, and then as you got out, what was the pull in a little more than it was in the past for you?
Well, in the past, it was all about my family. My wife got sick; she lost her eyesight, and she got it back. It was a version of Bell's palsy, but that was a lot of moment for us as a couple to really congeal, and that's when we really we had to focus on our faith because that was the only thing that was going to keep us moving.
There's a faith element. My wife has a severe strain of Crohn's, and that came after we both came to faith. But that will really strengthen your dependence on God, especially with your health and things like that. So, Chip, we're excited to be part of an alliance with Turning Point. Tell us how you got involved with Turning Point and what's led to this point. What's made you so what I find out when I see the Turning Point employees or the Turning Point
Team members.
Yeah, team members, is that they have this passion for the place that we are in America or the world and how Christ and Christianity fit there. Am I wrong there, Chip, or I'm getting off? Every time I meet somebody with Turning Point, they've come to this juncture through many means, but now that they've come here, there's this passion, and I think Charlie Kirk sets the pace, but the people then pick it up, and you guys all seem to have that same passion that Charlie has.
Well, and it all goes back, for me personally, it goes back to a statement that I heard a long time ago. Let it not be said that I was silent when they needed me. And for me, that really translates into, I'm just one man or just one guy. But if I can breathe into somebody else or get somebody else to understand the mission of what we're doing at TPUSA Faith, the law of multiples is going to definitely take over, and it's going to be spreading the mission. And I for far too long in my adult life and my personal life, I was quiet. I didn't do anything. I felt, I was a Christian, and I'm going to pray about it. But then I realized when I had kids that, I've got to leave them a future that I can know that I can lay my head down at night and sleep and know that I've done everything humanly possible to affect the world that they're going to grow up in.
So Chip, you just recently got a promotion, right? So what? And I already forgot the title because it's a fancy title, but I know generally what it means. What
I think I pulled it away from you.
You did a little bit, but that's all right. So you were over all of the East Coast before, but now you're over the entire country, right? So what is the title? What is your responsibilities?
So I started as a regional representative just covering Central Florida. And then I was promoted to a senior regional manager over the East Coast, just like you said. And then last week I was promoted to a senior strategic manager over the United States, basically covering any kind of national initiatives, national conferences, anything that's going to be affecting large groups of people. That is going to be part of what my responsibilities are.
So you took over some of Jared's responsibilities in that then.
Well, Jared is my boss man,
Sure.
and Jared divvies out amongst myself and one other strategic manager all of our roles.
Okay, cool. So are you who's over the Believer Summit, for example, that's coming up in Florida?
That would be me. Believer Summit is
Uh,
mine.
I
Right on.
love it.
So for Tom and I both know about the Believer Summit, but let's talk about that for a minute for our audience that's watching or may watch later, because that is one of the things that we told Jared we wanted to do was help promote those events, and especially Believer Summit and some of the other was upcoming. Y'all got some stuff going up in the like northern Midwest, kind of Great Lakes area too coming up. But let's talk about Believer Summit first.
Well, let me tell you, Believer Summit, if you've ever walked into a room where there's anywhere from 6,000 people that share your common vision and your common goal, that are so amped up with music, with amazing speaking, with the energy that you just want to just completely conquer the world, that's what Believer Summit's going to be. It's going to be July the 26th, 27th, 28th. And anybody that's been to, especially a Turning Point USA event, you're going to know our events are top notch. We bring in some really, really high speakers, and it is going to be a full 3 days completely just charged up. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So as you're the strategic director, what I've seen since our participation in Turning Point, because we really got involved with Turning Point at a Fresno event. It was kind of up at a church with Charlie, and we got involved, and then we went to a pastor summit in San Diego, and then we went to the TP America Fest.
And then I went to Strong Church.
So what I saw about Turning Point is that you guys came into the faith element, and I think, is that a year old yet, or how old is TP Faith?
It's about 2.5 years old.
2.5 years old. But then you came in where you started to, strategically go after the pastors and talk about speaking from their pulpit and maybe having a little louder voice, which is something Mike and I are sharing that vision in. But then now it seems like you're going to the pews. Is that something that I'm getting right? Because now you're taking it to the pews kind of strategically.
And that's absolutely correct, because we got to work with the pastors to get them bold, to give them any kind of education, any kind of support they need to be able to get the message out. But it then translates into the pews, because Christians are the majority. If we could just get a few more Christians to just get out of that pew and go vote and understand how important it is that they vote their biblical worldview, that would completely change the landscape of everything.
It would. And one thing I saw, and a speaker that really spoke to my heart at TP AmeriFest was Glenn Beck. And Glenn Beck was talking about how on both ends we have the right, the far right, and we have the far left. Both are looking at some of the socialist, communist type methods, but the middle, on both sides, there is a group that we really all seem to want the same thing. We want law and order. We're all kind of pretty much declaring that there are two genders. I mean, we don't see anything else, because most of us will look at the Bible and we don't see another way for that to be, except for, in this dysphoria of our minds. And so as we glean anything, we believe in law and order, we believe in sin, and we believe in Jesus' sacrifice for that. I like the focus that you guys have, because as you're there, and I love the Charlie shirt when he came out TP AmeriFest. I think it said, "I believe." I think that was what it said, or something like that. And I love the simplicity of the message, because it's not really super complex. It's just trying to get people to focus on the message that's in front of us. And there again, it is that, hey, there is, and I even think Bill Maher's on our side on this one, where he says it's crazy versus, it's normal versus crazy. That's really where it is.
So if we go back to the Believer Summit, right? Who should be there? And like, if someone's looking, well, maybe I'm going to go, maybe I'm not going to go, right? Who would you say is the right person to be at that summit?
Anybody and everybody. It's open to anyone. We've had a lot of these, we've had a few of those pastor summits where it was really just for pastors. But this is for anybody. And it's a believer summit. It's going to be focused on the issues in our culture right now, and how a Christian is supposed to look at those issues, and how Christians are, God wants us to get engaged. He doesn't want to sit on the sidelines and be quiet. And that is really going to be what it's going to look like. It's going to be a cry out to everybody get engaged.
So what like if someone goes there, what should they expect to walk away with after having gone to that?
They're going to walk away with the knowledge and the know-how of how to get involved in their society and their communities. They're going to walk away definitely with ideas of how they can go and implement things inside their churches. I mean, the thing that I've never understood is I grew up in a Southern Baptist church. There was a Methodist church right across the street, and I always wondered why nobody ever crossed the street. And that's what this is kind of like. Yeah. We're bringing everybody together, all the denominations together, to say, "Hey guys, we're on the same side. Can we all just get together to agree to fix this country and this world that we're living?"
I think there's a lot of people that have been sitting watching. They're like, "We agree with you, Chip. We agree with Charlie. We agree with Turning Point. We agree with 511. We agree with everything you guys are saying, or at least a large percentage, a large majority of what you guys are saying." But like, what can I do? That's the question that will be answered at Believer Summit. Am I right?
100%, absolutely. And I mean, you can see the same resources on our website, but they need to come to Believer Summit to be able to experience. I mean, like I said, a room full of 6,000 people that are like-minded and speakers that are going to be talking life into you. That's what they need to come and experience.
And the connections, the network that can be built there, the energy. Like I go to a lot of different summits for business and different stuff, but the energy that you can come away with after going to something like that is tremendous. It always starts the momentum and it keeps reinvigorating you. So I think that's another good reason to be there, right?
Absolutely, especially a Turning Point event. We always at Turning Point USA, TPUSA Faith, our events are top notch.
Yeah, y'all's events are phenomenal.
They are. Mike and I have been to several, and you guys never leave us leaving with anything lacking. I think, Mike, you and I have come out a little stronger in our convictions about what we're doing with 511 Media Group and our shows, and also our desire to help Turning Point, our desire to give a magnification to pastors' voices outside of the pulpit, through a podcast or through some type of a platform like that. So can you even speak into the Patriots? Is it called the Patriot Summit? The one that's going to happen is it Detroit?
That I'm not exactly 100% sure about, because I'm completely and totally focused on Believer Summit right now.
I got you. Are you going to be involved with the Patriots thing? And
I think that's Turning Point USA. So we're TPUSA Faith. That's a little bit different.
So clear that up for us. What is the difference between Turning Point USA and Turning Point Faith?
So we have Turning Point USA. That was the organization that Charlie Kirk started. Originally right out of college, where he was 18 years old. And then back during COVID, when COVID lockdowns were happening, pastors started calling Charlie going, "They're wanting to shut my church down. What do I do?" And that's when Charlie realized that the pastors needed education about the Constitution and about things that are happening in the government. So that was the birth of TPUSA Faith. We fall underneath the umbrella of Turning Point USA. We're a division. Blexit, I'm not sure if you know Blexit, which is Candace Owens' organization. They fall underneath the TPUSA Faith umbrella as well.
We actually have Pierre coming on next week.
Oh, I love Pierre. Y'all are going to love him. He's awesome.
Everybody loves Pierre. I mean, Jared was telling us that he resembled Jared.
They constantly say that they're twins. You'll see why.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So if someone wants to know about how to get involved with the Believer Summit, where do they get more information?
The easiest way to do is just go to our website, tpfaith.com. And once they go there, it'll be a pop-up that will show up. Right now we're doing early bird pricing. General admission's I think $20 right now, which is an unbelievable value. That's for all the days. That's not $20 a day. That's for the whole thing. And just the caliber of people that are going to be there is worth every dime.
One of the things that always impressed me, and this was something that got me first involved, when Oliver's kind of walking around.
He's all right, Tom.
Yeah. One of the first things that got me involved is we were the first church to bring Rob Cooper not Cooper, Rob McCoy, to Bakersfield. And I think I share this a lot. He got us canceled because it was too early after he took on Governor Newsom, and our platform said that we were too what was the word?
Controversial.
So every time I see
how
Rob,
pastor is going to be controversial.
every time I see Rob, he's like, I said, you remember you got me canceled, so you owe me. And he says, well, praise Jesus. And I was like that. But as we brought him, we had a campus, Chip, that was involved was actually on the University of, was Cal State University Bakersfield. We had a campus for a decade there. And so the club on campus wanted to know if they can use our church for an event. And we said, absolutely. So Mike and I were there that first night, and we met Rob and a lot of the team. And we just kind of fell in love with it, didn't we, Mike? And said, hey, how can we help? How can we be a part of this? Because we saw the desire in the student's heart. They're going to a college. They're going to, an institution that sometimes try to strip them of their faith, tries to strip them of their morals, try to strip them their values and their principles. And what I saw with the Turning Point, is it Turning Point USA that has the college groups, or Turning Point Faith?
USA.
USA.
But I saw the inspiration that was in these young hearts, and I told Mike, how could we not support that? At the time, my daughters were both in college, and they both went to Lutheran colleges, which wasn't a plan, but they did, and one was so different than the other. One was Cal Lutheran. My daughter Tessa, who's the director of talent at Daily Wire, and my daughter that was Tessa, and Taylor was at University of Concordia, Irvine, both Lutheran, and one had kind of given over to more of a woke agenda because there was more federal money involved, and the other ones was still putting up scripture when they walked across the stage. So I saw a difference right there. Both my girls came out, and they were both solid, and they came out to make an impact for Christ in their lives. But I just saw that with this TPUSA and the college clubs and the excitement these kids can have about, we can get engaged with where, I tell this about college kids, their life is around a college campus, which a parent wants them to be, but we don't want them to be, the college campus to be counterproductive to our students, what they've learned before they got there. And now it's almost, you've got to put a thought into it. We talk to a lot of people who have kids that go to college, but you got to put a thought to it that, hey, nowadays there's a agenda to steal the kids, like we just said, faith and their morals and their principles. And it's not just a happenstance or a class you take in philosophy. You're actually being combated on campus every day with this thought that comes against what you've been taught at home. And I like the energy the kids brought.
So well, and what I'll say to that is, I absolutely love that, but and we take that model into churches. So we can form a group or a hub inside a church with Christians to be able to get them to go and get engaged, just like the faith group or just like the groups in high school and colleges. We form groups inside of churches and then get them to go out to the school board meetings, to the commission meetings, to whatever it is that they feel is important. They can move as a group. They're actually a chartered group out of us, just like the charter groups with the high school and the college NFP program.
Yeah, and if they want more info on that, they go to tpfaith.com also, right?
Absolutely. Same. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, right on.
And then with those groups, we can offer education. Go ahead.
I know that's something we're working on doing here at 511, and it's just a matter of me taking the time to do it because we're already so entrenched with you guys anyway, but like we want to actually establish 511 as a hub for y'all.
Yes.
Love it. Absolutely love that. And then we have classes that we offer. One thing that's really, really unique about Charlie and unique about TPUSA Faith, and I absolutely love it, is we have a lot of classes that we offer. We offer biblical citizenship classes, which is a program we partner with Patriot Academy for. We have Faith in the Public Square, Politics Easy as Pie. But one of the things that I love about everything that we do at TPUSA Faith is we don't charge for anything for our courses.
Not only
because
that,
we
you
want
guys don't charge for the
churches.
pastors conferences. Like I've seen you guys put pastors up in hotels and everything.
Yeah, we pay for their hotel, we pay for all their meals, we pay for the admission. We just, and the one thing that's really big with Charlie is he does not want the church that has 30 members versus the church that has 3,000 to be able to say, no, I can't bring that in because I can't afford to bring in this class that you want to offer. So
Amen.
we give it completely for free. All the books, all the videos, all the materials. We charge for nothing.
Yeah. So Chip, I want to ask you two separate questions that are kind of in tandem. But number one is if someone's out there watching and saying, "Hey, I want to help. How do I help?" But the question number two is for us specifically with 511. We've had this conversation multiple times. But how can we help you, Jared? Turning Point. Like how can we do even more than what we're doing now?
Well, with especially with the people that are out there and that are listening, we want people to get engaged. We want to get the pastors engaged. A lot of people say that they would love for their pastors to get engaged, but their pastor doesn't know what to say, or their pastor, says that the church doesn't get involved in politics. Reach out, go to that website, get in touch with us somehow. There's reps that are all over this country that we can get you in touch with that can go and talk to those pastors. We personally will coach a pastor. We will talk with the pastor, work with the pastor to be able to get them to get bold. But if they're just not making any headway and they still want to get involved, we can start a hub out of somebody's house. Like-minded Christians, as long as we're getting together and remembering that we have a voice as Christians and that our voice is strong and that we can get out there and use it. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for people that are ready to step up and say, I've had enough. I can't take this anymore. I'm tired of putting my family through this. I'm tired of seeing this everywhere I turn. And then actually stand up and do something about it. That's the trick. We got to get people to stand up and get engaged.
And I know
But for you guys,
go ahead.
No, for you guys, I mean, everything that you're doing for us right now. I mean, look at what we're doing at this very moment in time. We're engaging people that we might not have been able to touch. So, I mean, I love everything that you're doing. That y'all are backing us completely, and so many different ways. We've talked about the other podcasts that are going. That's absolutely spectacular because. For me, I sold my real estate company. I'm not in real estate anymore. I gave that up because I look at this as a mission. I look at this as a calling and a ministry. This is my ministry now, is to work out and get Christians engaged, so our children don't have to grow up with a different kind of future than maybe we grew up with.
And I think we all saw it really change during the pandemic. We never thought that certain freedoms would be alienated from us. We never thought we never put together an idea that we would be denied the right to have a congregation meeting on a Sunday or a Wednesday together. I was like, that'll never happen. And it did. And I know that everybody was trying to do the right thing. And I think there was a point, and most people that I know that are in the ministry just said, enough is enough.
Yep.
Just stop it. And I tell people that I think that was Satan's biggest swing at the church that I've lived through. And I think that we've all come out wiser. I think we've all come out that we've got to get prepared, which I think TP USA and TP Faith is doing for us. So I thank organizations. I thank Charlie Kirk for doing this. And at such a young age, I love that boldness that he has at those young age. And I do want my children to be able to grow up in a free country where they aren't having the basic rights taken away from them, free speech and the right to assemble in a faith-based system that they believe in and they want to, and not have to worry about breaking a law that just is made up to have a silencing effect on a certain people group's voices.
So something else that I would like to hear you talk about too, real quick, Chip, is y'all are doing a bunch of roundtables throughout the country.
Yes.
Tom and I actually going to be strategically working with Boomer to help promote some of those as well. But I want you, if you could, to talk to the purpose behind those, because it's something that you're going to see 511 Turning Point do. You'll see 511 doing throughout the state of California. And as we go to Tennessee, over on the East Coast, and doing some of those, we're going to be working with Chip to do some of those as well. But talk about those so people that are watching, especially if they're a pastor, know what that is, and the resources y'all are bringing to that arena as well.
So it all goes back to the idea of nobody ever crossed the street when I was a kid to go to the Methodist church. We want to bring pastors together into a room to talk about any number of topics, and usually it begins with one certain pastor that will say, I have a desire to really educate people on human trafficking, or I really have a desire, to educate pastors on Christian education or the things that are happening in our school system, and we will work with those individual pastors to build on that idea, and then bring other pastors into the room to have one conversation about this is what's happening in our community. This is why it's important to get engaged. We leave our denominations, quote unquote, at the door, because we're all on the same side. We want to get together to talk about it. We'll also bring in speakers if we need to. Pastor Rob McCoy. We'll bring in, had Bill Federer at a couple of mine. We can bring in Rick Green, who is from Patriot Academy. We can bring in whoever we need to bring in to get the message to these pastors in this nation that we have got to get engaged and we've got to get involved.
I love that. Well, you've got our support and our help. And Chip, I really
100%.
enjoy the relationship. I love the layers of our relationship that, and I don't believe there's coincidences, Chip. I don't.
Me either.
And I do believe that we'll be sitting down a lot, and we'll be strategically moving through this. And I think one day we'll all be in heaven looking back and say, we'll hear the good job, faithful servant.
Amen to that.
Well, Chip, there again, thank you for being on our show today. I know he's on the East Coast, so I know you'll probably go get some shut-eye before
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm going to probably go straight to bed after the day I've had.
Yeah. Well, I love it. Mike, always good sitting down with you. And if you're out there watching and you want to get involved, let us know. Let Chip know. But there's one thing: you need to be engaged. We are living in probably one of the most important times of the history of our nation and our faith.
Yeah, that's
Amen
right.
to that.
Thank you all for watching. Chip, thank you again for being here.
Much,
thank
Chip.
you for
Thanks,
being here.
guys, for bringing me here.
Yep.
Y'all have a great day. God bless.
God bless.